in the classic navy blue of the New York Yankees today, because like the Yankees are to the Steinbrenner family or to Major League Baseball as a whole, the vehicle I'm currently driving, the 2020 Nissan Qashqai compact crossover, is a veritable cash cow to Nissan. They've sold something like 2.5 million of these worldwide, and that's actually a number that dates back to 2017 when the vehicle was first getting released in North America. You can probably add a few 100,000 to that. It came to North America in 2017, though, in two forms. It came as the Qashqai in Canada, which I believe alludes to an ancient Iranian or Mesopotamian tribe or something, I don't know, whatever. And the Rogue Sport in the US. As we know, the Rogue crossover sells a ton, both in the US and Canada. I guess in the US, they didn't want to lose the brand equity associated with the Rogue name, so it's Rogue Sport down there. Or maybe in Canada with just like more exotic sounding names than they do in the US. I have no idea. So it's the Qashqai here, but how does it fit in with Rogue? Well, yeah, it's a little bit smaller inside, has a slightly smaller engine, but it's also a really great deal. It's a bargain compared to the Rogue. This Qashqai starts at $21.5 grand thereabouts. The Rogue starts at $6,000 more than that, about $27.5 grand. And all you really lose when you think of the Rogue to the Qashqai is a little bit of room up front, a little bit of room in the back, less storage. When the seats are up, there's 40% less storage in the Qashqai than there is in the Rogue, and a slightly smaller engine. But that's really all for $6,000. But with the Qashqai, you still get really cool looking vehicle. I think it looks cooler than the Rogue does. It's squatter, it's tauter. This vehicle, the SL top trim, has awesome 18-inch wheels. It looks awesome. Plus the colors it comes in. It comes in stuff like, this is Caspian blue, but also Monarch orange, I guess alludes to the Monarch butterfly, or Scarlet red, and I think it's nitro green, or is it nitro yellow, or nitro lime? It's nitro something. But actually, it seems to me, I'll double check this, but I'm pretty sure that the actual colors you can get roughly equal the amount of grays and blacks and whites you can get for the Qashqai, and grays, blacks, and whites being usually the preferred shade of compact crossovers. So this is a pretty exciting looking car for sure. And inside, the luxury, the bargain is amplified even more when you consider some of the features you have. There's the stuff you're used to seeing at the compact crossover level. You've got heated front seats, as I mentioned before, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, or if I didn't mention it before, I'm mentioning it now. All that good stuff, but more than that, you get tilt down mirrors when you activate reverse. That's something that I don't think I've seen on maybe any other compact crossovers. I could be wrong with that, and I think that might be something I haven't even seen on some luxury compact crossovers. So tilt down mirrors when you activate reverse makes it a lot easier to park, as does the around view top down monitor that you also get with the Qashqai, which is great because you've got those great 18-inch low profile wheels. You don't want to bang those rims on the curb. So it's got that. It's also got the driver's seat when you park reclines. It goes back on its rails, so it's easier to get out, and then once you come back, easier to get in. Again, that's a feature you don't really see on a lot of compact crossovers. And then there's all the other good stuff too. This the SL trim gets you this real leather seating, which is really nice. I've got the great sunroof up here. Yeah, it affects my headroom a little bit. It's not huge though, I'm still wearing a hat in here, and it's totally doable. And a nice airy cockpit. It doesn't look as adventurous inside as it does outside. The gauge cluster has a nice digital display for your trip computer, but the gauges either side of it are easy to read, but the fonts are fairly tame, nothing too exciting going on there. Center stack has those features, but again, not like the most adventurous when it comes to styling. Some people, no big deal. They want to easily access any button on there. They don't have to be searching around for it, so it's all here nicely laid out. And the other curves and stuff are fairly standard fare at the crossover level, but it keeps it airy in here, which is helped by the white seating here too. Really makes it feel bigger inside. And also, I'm sitting a little high in this, and as I'm 6'3", I do feel like I'm almost too high, but the dash is quite tall, so I feel like I'm sitting a little bit lower in here, which is something I really like. So power comes in 149 horse and 141 pound-feet of torque. It's fed to all four wheels through, well, usually it's just the front wheels, I believe, all four when the rears need help when they're slipping the front, through a CVT automatic transmission. Yeah, the CVT, as you can hear, is not the most, it's not really the gold standard when it comes to driver involvement, but this one here is not so bad. Nissan's been developing their CVT for a long time now, and unlike the Sentra I recently drove, which I liked, you can actually activate a manual mode on this one. There's no paddle shifters, but you can change gears, even though there are actually no gears in the CVT, but you can activate the virtual ratios by tapping the gear lever back and forth. Not something I think I'd use on the everyday, but if I was on like a gravelly road or more adverse conditions, want a little bit more control over my powertrain, maybe I use that a little bit more. So power's good, and it feels zippy enough. Like, it's not like I am in sport mode now, which lets you take the reins off a little bit, lets you accelerate a little bit more responsive throttle. There's also an eco mode that deadens all that stuff when you're in the city to help save fuel, which is something to be expected these days. So it's got enough get up and go, but the real remarkable part for me is the handling. It starts with this cool steering wheel, which is flat bottomed. Not like I need a flat bottom wheel. I don't have problems with my legs here. I don't need that much more room for my legs. Some people might though, and it's kind of a cool thing to have, but the steering is actually really responsive. The wheelbase is slightly shorter than the Rogue, and so you've got that quick back and forth kind of maneuverability, and not a huge amount of body roll either, which is something that I was really happy to find. It's well set up, and even though it doesn't have a huge amount of body roll, the ride is actually pretty good. Most bumps you actually don't even really feel them through the front. You don't really feel them until they hit the back axle. So it's and even then it's nothing too serious. It's quite a comfortable riding vehicle, and with the exception of that kind of droney CVT, it's quiet too, which is something that again can't always be said at this level. But the real thing with the Qashqai though is how it's got that kind of funky air about it. It looks cool, and it could be much more appealing to younger buyers, which would definitely like that awesome cost savings. In fact, when you consider the smaller Nissan Kicks, the cost gulf between the Kicks and the Qashqai, I don't think is quite as big as it is between the Qashqai and the Rogue. Yet you get a lot more when you go from Kicks to Qashqai than you do from getting Qashqai to Rogue. So the Qashqai is really that nice sweet spot between them all that gives you that great bargain, cool looks, fun handling, well featured. And it's not the same car that your mom has, or dad, or uncle, or your barber, or his dog breeder, or whatever. And you won't be paying the same they did for their crossover, their Rogue either. So Qashqai's kind of got that cool little sweet spot going on about it. But read more about it in my review on wheels.ca soon. And thanks for tuning in here. Obviously, you're seeing me on YouTube. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. No big deal, but thank you if you do. You can also follow me on Dan the Wheelman on Instagram and Dan the Wheelman on Twitter as well. Thanks for tuning in this week. Please check back next week when I'm driving another Nissan, but a much different Nissan. It's the Titan pickup truck, and I think it's actually the Pro 4X off-road model, which I'm really kind of looking forward to all these neat off-road bits that it has. So please do check back for that, and thanks for tuning in for this one. So I thought I'd give everyone kind of a look at what I was talking about in the other video. As you can see, nice flat bottom steering wheel. Cool to have. I don't really need it. There's plenty of room here for my legs. I don't know if I actually need the flat bottom there, but it's cool to have nevertheless. Fairly standard affair when it comes to center stack here. Nothing much too adventurous when it comes to styling, but still all the buttons are nicely aligned. It's very clear. There's the camera button here that lets you activate camera with the various modes, which I absolutely love. Gauge cluster is clear. Not especially exciting to look at. The fonts are pretty tame and so on, but it's very easy to read, which is great. And in general, it's a very airy feel in here, and a nice view out over the front there. This is really well. It's good for that kind of stuff. There are a couple of ergonomic issues though. The main one is that they've got these button bank down here. There's 8, but there's room for 8, but 2 are blanked out. I'm not really sure what I'm missing considering this is the top trim, but maybe it's a European market thing. But it's stuff for your like eco mode, your sport mode, heated steering wheels, lane keep assist, stuff like that. And it's great that's there, but when you have your wheels pointed straight ahead like this, which is usually the time you're going to be doing adjustments to various drive modes, it's really hard to see them. This spoke blocks a lot of them, and the only one I can really see is traction control off. I know I'm wearing shades, so it's a little bit dimmer and stuff, but I worry if my vision was a little bit weaker, I'd have a hard time identifying what's different, especially the lane keep assist and the steering wheel heat button. They both have steering wheels that are drawn on them, except for one of them has the heat lines coming off of it. So that could be a little bit confusing. I've had this vehicle for a while, and I haven't quite been able to memorize what's there yet. So there's that. Number 2 is the storage here. The center console is fine. There's lots of room in there, but there isn't a great spot for your cell. There's this thin little kind of storage bin here. There's a closer look at it in the clips after this, but I can fit my phone there, but I'm worried that a bigger phone like the iPhone Pluses, for example, maybe with a case on, wouldn't fit in there, which means I kind of have to use a cup holder in order to store my phone, which is too bad because these cup holders are great for drinks. They're super deep. They're not in the way of my arm of have a drink there when I'm driving and reaching for the gears, and I love that, so I'd hate to have to waste one with a cell phone. Oh, you say, well, then put it at the bottom of the center stack. Well, yeah, except for the storage area at the bottom of the center stack. Can't really see it. If I move the drive here, you kind of can, but you'll get a better view of it in the clips later. Is a perfectly square area, like kind of a surface area to put stuff, but I can't think of many things that are square. that I want to store there. My phone is rectangular, my sunglasses case is rectangular, although there is this great sunglasses holder here that's nicely sized, so don't have to worry so much about the sunglasses case. But I can't think of a lot of things I want to store there. Better to try to put a rectangular pad there like they have in the Sentra, which is awesome, so I could properly fit my mobile device and so on. So those two things kind of bug me a little bit, but otherwise, it's a really, really intuitive setup in here. You got the mirror adjust right here, which is easy to reach and see, memory seats and stuff like that. So mostly really good, but a couple of kind of niggles that kind of get at me. Let's take a look at what's going on in the back. So here we are in the back seat of the Qashqai. And yeah, there's a little bit less room here than there is in the Rogue, but even with the seat back far, fit for my 6'3" frame, the driver's seat, quite far back on its rails, I could still sit back here and have my knees pointed forward, as you can see. You just have a look down there. I don't have to splay my legs out in order to sit comfortably. I can sit like this, and they are digging into the back of the seat a little bit, but it's nothing huge. Plus, it's a very comfortable seat, just like the ones up front are. And you know, how many adults are going to be spending a lot of time in the back seat of a compact crossover? Anyways, better you should make it easy to fit a child seat, and I've tried that. I tried my 2.5-year-old's forward-facing seat. It was no problem. Of course, a rear-facing seat, you might have to move that front passenger seat ahead a little bit. There's a little bit of room there because of that, but it's easy enough to mount, and I like that. Nice console at the center here. Your cup holders are flush mounted, so if you don't have a drink in there, you don't have an uncomfortable plastic kind of like, I guess, an outcropping here. You have nice flat armrest overall, so that's great. And the seat folding mechanism is actually quite good. We'll have a look at that right now. It's pretty straightforward affair. All it takes is this. Grab this here, flip it down, and there you go. You don't even have to remove the headrest of the back seat, even though I've got the front seat set so far back. Just opens and closes, no problem. So while there might be a little bit less space in here than there is in the Rogue, they've made good use of the space that they have, and I guess you can't really ask for much more than that.